Welcome. This is the Scarlet and Rage podcast. I am Michael, the voice of reason, and you are here with my co-host Jay, the voice of rage. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch tonight or later, whenever it is you are taking the time to watch. If you would, hit that thumbs up button. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We're inching so much closer to that 1,000 subscriber mark that everybody wants to get to as their first little milestone on YouTube. And so if you would help us get there and hit that subscribe button. Also, remember to come to the message board. I have been on there this weekend. Game changer for me, Jay. I learned how to use the quotation function on the board, and I am just going much more at it than I was before, because you're really able to keep up with the conversation. It was always there, I just didn't know how to use it. Now I do, and been having a lot of good conversations and debates on
People don't like you on there. People don't like you on there too much, man.
Not when I share certain opinions that are, not sunshines and roses about the Buckeyes. That is true. They do not. And that's the same with, Bucknuts. But at least I don't have to worry about getting banned from the board if I am not optimistic on things that are taking place in the Buckeye program. And I can say whatever I want to say. So that's why we encourage you to come. Free speech. That goes for the political section, whatever you want to discuss. There it is, thescarletenrage.com. Super easy. Join the conversation. Make an account. An account is free. You're not going to find a better free Buckeye board on the planet than you will at www.thescarletenrage.com. Jay, big night for Indiana. Their accolades continue. Also, you informed me that the Big Ten had not had a Heisman Trophy winner since Troy Smith. That's unbelievable. So I guess I'm a little bit pleased that at least a Big Ten player is once again the Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, dude, so as we know, Fernando Mendoza wins the Heisman. First Big Ten Heisman winner since 2006, when our own Troy Smith won the award. And I got to be honest, Michael, this is maybe a little hyperbole, but I don't think it is. I think Fernando Mendoza might be my favorite player in the nation. That's not a joke.
All right.
Like, this guy, and more so than any Ohio State player, too, by the way. He's a great personality. He's well-spoken. He loves the game. And he has that WWE persona. Mm-hmm. And honestly, dude, he has like the best quotes I've ever heard a college player consistently make. Just all around great, man. Like, he's just awesome. And he is really the perfect college quarterback, too. He's big. He can run. He's got a good arm. He's got really good accuracy. Maybe not Julian Sand type accuracy, but he has Julian Sand beat pretty much everywhere else. So, man, oh, man, just love the guy, man. Just love Fernando Mendoza. Love Fernando Mendoza. I want to add on to that is, like you said, it's very awesome that the Big Ten won the Heisman, but it's also very sad at the same time, Michael. The Big Ten always needs to have the best players in college football. How in the heck do we not have a Heisman winner for like close to 20 years? That's not good. That is very much our conference underperforming. What is going on here, man? I'm trying to think of, have we really come close in these 20 years? I'm trying to really think.
No, I don't. Well, we've come close. CJ Stroud made a couple of trips. Didn't Justin Field make a singular trip? They've been there in the room many times, but yeah, just never. I don't know if there's ever been like super close, like they were neck and neck and you just didn't know which one was going to win. It seems like they've always been a distant second or third. But hey, it's hard to imagine that happened. But the Heisman Trophy is more and more becoming the quarterback who's on the best team. Like if you can be a quarterback who's on one of the best teams, that increasingly, gives you a shot at the Heisman. It's harder and harder for a running back or a wide receiver or somebody like that to win the Heisman. It's becoming more and more a quarterback award, and you need to be a quarterback on one of the best teams that has a chance to win a national championship. There has been a couple of exceptions to that. Jaden Daniels was the quarterback at LSU, and they were not in the national championship picture a couple of years ago. But that is, if there is a quarterback on one of the best teams that is reasonably fit for the Heisman, it's going to be very hard for your wide receiver, or running back candidate, or anybody else really to win it.
That's why I was such a fan of Travis Hunter winning last year.
Yeah.
Because you're right. It is a quarterback-driven award. And for somebody like him, a skill position player at Colorado, and Colorado sucks.
Yeah.
That was pretty amazing that he won. I don't know. Has Colorado had a Heisman winner prior to that? Was Cordell Stewart a winner? I don't know.
That I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Just crazy, but nonetheless, I mean, I'm really excited that he won it. Michael, you were like noticing like some height discrepancies. You were texting me earlier. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Sure. Yeah. Fernando Mendoza is listed at 6'5". He's listed that on the Indiana board. He's listed that on, I'm sorry, not the Indiana board, but the Indiana roster. He is listed at 6'5" on, ESPN. Everywhere you see his stats, he's listed at 6'5". As you saw the guys, standing next to each other, it became clear on one angle, Jeremiah Love almost looks the same height as him. So there is and they're both standing relatively straight. And so there is no way a guy 6'5" looks anywhere close to the same height as a guy 6 foot. In a couple of the other pictures released from the Heisman, evening, they are standing, maybe Smith was on an elevation on the one or something, but they're standing right next to each other, and still no more than 3 inches, does Mendoza have, Smith by. And if Mendoza is 6'5", that's great news for Julian Sayin, because that means he's about 6'2.5". So I think Mendoza is somewhere, more around the 6'3" flat-footed range, 6'3.5", maybe.
Yeah,
tops.
I think so too.
And the other one is, how do you pronounce his name from Vanderbilt?
Diego Pavia,
listed at 6 foot and nowhere close. He is somewhere between 5'9.5" and 5'10.5". Somewhere in that range. Julian Sayin significantly taller than him. The Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame, noticeably taller than him at 6 feet. So he's definitely a sub 6 foot quarterback. So yeah, a couple of height discrepancies there.
I hate it. Like, just give off fake heights, man. Like, why do programs do that? Why? I will say this: give Ohio State credit. They do one thing absolutely better than anyone else. They do not BS us with the heights of our players. They don't.
Right.
Like, what their height is what they usually are with their shoes off. Yeah,
that's absolutely true. And Alabama got a little bit of a rep for doing that at the NFL Combine. Some of their guys were showing up an inch. In a couple of cases, they were even listing guys at 6'3", them getting to the Combine in one case, and he was 6'1". There was a few instances of that. So yeah, I don't get it. Like, it's going to show up. Like, I know out there in real life, guys exaggerate their height all the time. I never have, because to me, it's like eventually you're going to have to turn in the receipts,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you are.
And so, I don't get it.
Speaking of Diego Pavia, man, did you see what he posted, I guess, on Instagram? I don't have that, but apparently, did you see what he posted?
No. What was it?
So apparently, since he did not win the Heisman, he made an Instagram post with him and his family in it, and it says, F what did it say? It said, I'm looking at it right now. I'm trying to find the article where it says, I think it said like F the haters and with like a thumbs down or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. F all the voters. And then, but family for life.
Wow.
What a fucking tool, right?
Yeah.
What a stupid little bitch he is. And I actually like him as a quarterback, but I don't think I like him as a person. He just seems like get off that small dick bitch ass energy. I hope Iowa breaks him in half because I don't think he's not an NFL quarterback. So he's going to be playing for, I believe he'll probably try and play in that bowl game. And I hope to God Iowa just fucking just destroys him. Just fucking annihilates him. Just blow him off the face of the planet. Iowa, you have one fucking job. Break Diego Pavia. Kill him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely, I don't think it'll be an NFL quarterback. I mean, to be 5'10" and be able to play quarterback in the NFL, you have to be so exceptional in so many different areas. And I don't see that with him, but I mean, he certainly is a really good college quarterback.
Yeah, no, he's a great college quarterback. And, until I really saw Fernando Mendoza, I thought he was the best player in the country. But Fernando Mendoza is the best player in the country, or at least he's the best quarterback. And you're not going to get any pushback from me. I know a lot of Ohio State fans suck off Julian Sand, but you know what, Julian Sand, you can't have bad games against like Texas and Indiana and expect to win the Heisman. You can't have your worst games against the best defenses you've played, man. Yeah, played a great game against Michigan, but probably needed to put a little bit more stats there in that game. And conservative game plan all season didn't help him either.
It would be kind of crazy to, give it to Julian Sand when you've got a guy that's got very comparable stats. I mean, I think Sand threw for maybe 150 or 200 more yards than Mendoza. I think Mendoza might have had a couple of more touchdowns or something, but I mean, very comparable stats. And Sand just got beat, I mean, so why on earth would you give the Heisman to Sand? Now, if Sand wins that game, he's got certainly a case for it. And certainly if Sand won that game and had 35 or 3,600 yards passing at this point in the year, then he definitely would have a case for it. But none of those things were the case. So I completely understand why it went to Mendoza. I never thought for a moment Julian Sand had a prayer to win it after they lost to Indiana the other night.
Not only did he not have I don't know that he would have won if he won the Big Ten championship because he was so far away from like the top three, Michael. He probably shouldn't have been there based on the votes. Like he was so far down there based on the final vote total. Like Mendoza won going away. He had the biggest margin of victory since Joe Burrow in 2019.
Which is odd because it just kind of tells you what type of year this was. Because stats wise and things like that, Mendoza nor Sand seemed super Heisman-y, kind of compared to what you're used to. I mean, both of them certainly had good stats, but not, it's not like they had 35, 36, 3,700 yards and 38 or 9 touchdowns at this point. They're both in the low 30s and around 3,000 yards, but Jeremiah Smith, if he stays healthy, if we open up the offense more, he's a guy who could have 1,500 yards at this point in the year and be a real Heisman candidate. That didn't happen. There just wasn't really a whole lot else in the field. And so, it's, I don't think Mendoza by any means is like that far and away, above any of the other Heisman winners because of, the margin of victory. I think it was just that kind of year.
Do you think Mendoza, does he strike you as a number one overall player going into the NFL draft?
Well, I'll say this. I'll be able to, I think, make a better informed statement on that, once the playoffs get underway and I can see him a little bit more. But I watched him in flashes this year. I watched flashes of the Oregon game. I watched a few flashes of the Penn State game. But the Ohio State game is the only game that I've sat down and watched him beginning to end And he is impressive. I mean, he really, he's got good size. He is clearly tough. That hit he takes early in the game. I mean, he's really lucky. I mean, that could have separated his shoulder or done a lot of things, concussed him. But he's definitely good. He's tough. He's got good size and he's got nice arm talent. Here's the thing. I know you might not like this, Jay, but when I watch, this is why it is completely on Ryan Day if Ohio State goes out and let's say wins the first round and then loses to Georgia. Because I watched these games in succession. The last football game I had watched before Ohio State, Indiana was Georgia, Alabama. And I am watching Gunnar Stockton. He looks like a college quarterback next to both Mendoza and Sayan. Sayan didn't have his best game, but Sayan's motion, his delivery, his arm angles, his arm action, his arm talent, as they call it today, looked NFL. So did Mendoza. Gunnar Stockton does not. He looks like a college player. And so if you've got the defense Ohio State has versus a college quarterback who's tough and gritty, but not overly talented, with not great receivers. Branch is pretty good. The rest of it's like, okay. Of course, they probably got a tight end or so they can throw to. And you've got the defense Ohio State has, and you've got Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate on offense. You should win that football game. And so that, that's a little bit of a different subject, but I'm saying that about those two guys stood out from, other guys that I saw who were going to be in the playoffs. And Mendoza is definitely a little bit more polished and sure of himself, I think, than Julian Sayin at this point.
And let's not forget to mention Dante Moore from Oregon. I would say the Big Ten definitely, I mean, if you just want to choose quarterbacks, they're definitely ahead of the curve when against anyone when it comes to quarterbacks. Now, are we going to be as good on the lines? I don't know. I know Ohio State's offensive line's a major weakness, and you expect us to be able to block Miami and Texas A&M and Georgia. I don't like our odds there, but, again, we'll see. Michael, I think this Heisman is big for our conference because obviously we've won back-to-back national championships in football, but now that we have a Heisman behind our conference, I feel like hopefully this is really the trend of it's cool to play in the Big Ten again. Like the Big Ten is not just slow and boring football. And, there's still a lot of that, including our Ohio State Buckeyes. But, Indiana, with how explosive they've been on the season, hopefully that draws more talent to our conference and takes away, possible talent from the SEC. So, it's like it's like two for the price of one in that regard, in my opinion.
That is a great point. And that is the overwhelming feeling that I had when I watched the SEC championship game versus the Big Ten championship game, is for the first time in years. And I am not saying that Georgia couldn't win a national championship. I don't believe Alabama can win a national championship. But I'm not saying, I'm not saying Georgia can't win a national championship. However, watching that game, watching the broadcast, watching the presentation, then watching the play on the field, and then watching the Big Ten game and all of those things, the Big Ten had the superior product. The Big Ten had the better broadcast. The Big Ten had the just the way things looked, the way things were filmed, the way things were, it just was a better presentation, and the product on the field looked better. And that's the first time I can say that in a lot of years when comparing the Big Ten and the SEC. And part of that, Jay, was quarterback play, because we know Georgia has as much talent on defense as anybody. But the quarterback play, especially from Georgia and even from Alabama, Ty Simpson had some of his weapons down, but the quarterback play was a big step below what you saw in the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, man. I agree. I would put Ty Simpson in that conversation, but you're right. The rest of the SEC quarterbacks, no, not so much. If Alabama is truly healthy, they're a scary team. So it makes you wonder, it's kind of the question, do you want to play in Alabama at full power or just Georgia? We kind of already saw that game I think it was late September, and Alabama won on the road at Georgia. So the Alabama team that Georgia played in the SEC championship game was kind of a shell of its former self. So that's why I'm a little worried if I'm Indiana there. But again, Alabama has to go on the road and play Oklahoma. And Michael, to cap off conference championship talk, on our message board, there has been a lively discussion. I feel like it kind of branched off. This wasn't like the sole discussion. But, Michael, the question is, do conference championship games matter? A lot of people say they don't. They point to Ohio State and Indiana this season. Well, Michael, I don't know that I think people there are looking through scarlet and gray glasses. Yeah, it didn't matter, I guess, as much for Indiana and Ohio State, who are both undefeated teams. But you have to understand something, Michael. Let's put the shoe on the other foot now. What if Ohio State made the conference championship somehow with 3 losses, right? Let's say we had an out-of-conference loss and 2 Big Ten losses, but we somehow made it into the conference championship game. And they needed to play their way into the college football playoff by winning the Big Ten. I bet a lot of Ohio State fans then would say the game would matter very much, and they would want to keep this game around. So again, they're looking at it from the status of, oh, we're undefeated, we're in anyway, it's no big deal. But if you're a team that really needs this game, you would think the opposite. And again, that's where Ohio State fans kind of piss me off. They don't see the whole picture. You know what I mean? Like, what do you have any thoughts regarding this?
Yeah, I think that, a couple of things. It's a little bit weird the way they're fitting it in now, because the committee is saying essentially that it doesn't mean anything, like for most of the teams. Like, so in other words, if there's 2 teams that are slotted to go to the playoffs, the game doesn't mean anything, because the committee has said, we're not going to punish anybody for playing in this game. So if you go and lose, it literally doesn't matter. The committee has said that. They've made that the precedent 2 different years in a row. Now, to your point, if you were, say, University of Texas, or let's say Ohio State was in University of Texas's situation, and somehow it worked out that they were able to get to the conference championship game at 9-3. Let's say somehow they played, I don't know, maybe they lost 2 out of conference games.
Maybe they played like Georgia or somebody that only has 1 loss.
Yeah. And so somehow they beat up on each other and they get a tiebreaker with 2 conference losses and get in. Then if they win, obviously they're in the playoffs. Same thing with the Big Ten team if the shoe was on the other foot. So yes, they can still be meaningful. But the probabilities are that in the SEC and in the Big Ten, the 2 teams that make it under the current format of, just whoever's first and second in the conference. We're not doing, divisions anymore, legends and leaders, which was short-lived and stupid. And then the East and the West, which, didn't last that long either. We don't have that anymore. So just the 2 best teams. And the odds are in the Big Ten and the SEC, both of those teams are probably already going to be playoff eligible. Now, that doesn't mean that it couldn't happen, but the odds are favored towards that. So yeah, a lot of years it's not necessarily going to matter as far as getting into the playoffs, and seeding is a crapshoot. Just because you're the number 1 seed, that doesn't mean it's going to be better than the number 2 or the number 3 or even the number 5 seeds draw. It just kind of depends. So seeding is a total crapshoot. I mean, like Oregon got rewarded by being the number 1 seed to get to come out the first round and play a hot Ohio State team, a hot, dangerous Ohio State team. That's a horrible, first round draw. So it's a crapshoot. Would they have been able to avoid Alabama if they'd have, I mean, not Alabama, Georgia, if they'd have won? Yeah, they would have been able to avoid Georgia. They would have had to play, I guess, Texas Tech potentially if Texas Tech won their first game. And I think I would rather take that in the semis than the SEC champ. But, probably not a big deal either way. You would have to beat maybe Georgia at some point potentially. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's meaningless. I just think that it's positioned in kind of a weird spot because they're wanting to keep the revenue of that game. They're not wanting to punish the losers of that game too much because they want to encourage the losers of that game to go and play in it. They don't want people to decide we're not going to go sit out the conference championship game and not play or something because we're in the playoffs now. But if we go play and lose, we might not be. I think ultimately they're probably going to do this for another, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, who knows? But ultimately, if college football ever got to basically like two sides, like essentially Big Ten, SEC, AFC, NFC, then the conference championship game needs to be the final round of the playoffs before you go to the national championship game to play the winner of the other side. But until we get there, I do think there is some value in the conference championship games. And clearly, I hate this mentality from some people in Buckeye Nation that Ryan Day, I don't know what they're saying. They're basically saying that who cares? It didn't make any difference. We weren't going to put anything out there on film and risk it for a game that meant nothing. Well, you know what? I mean, I don't know. Is Ryan?
I hate these stupid fucks that say that shit, man. I was going to bring that up. Motherfuckers.
I mean, what is on film is on film. Ryan Day doesn't have anything new. Okay? The only creativity we have seen.
You're really going to get us started on Ryan Day's play calling, aren't you?
The only creativity we have seen in the recent modern day era of play calling, I'm talking from 2023, 2024, and 2025. The only creativity we've seen is Chip Kelly in the playoffs. And Chip Kelly's fingerprints were all over quite a few of those big plays in the playoffs. Chip Kelly's fingerprints were all over the way that he brought Jeremiah Smith into a slot position to get him lined up on a linebacker, sends him this way to get the defense flowing, and walks in for a touchdown as he reverses back the other way. Chip Kelly's fingerprints were all over that. Ryan Day doesn't have plays like that. He's not saving them in his pocket. He's not saving them in his back pocket. What you've seen is what you get. It's just a matter of can they call those plays better and more efficiently.
Do you trust that they will, Michael? I mean, the odds are against them. And if the odds are against them, I feel like you're kind of predicting us already to lose in the playoffs.
I don't feel great about things. I don't feel great about Ryan Day basically
scare me, man.
Calling the plays in 3 big games. I certainly don't feel great about Brian Hartline calling the plays. I don't think that he probably is going to call lots of the plays. I don't know why he's even around. They started game planning last week when Hartline is I don't know. I hate saying he's in South Florida because he's in freaking Tampa. I mean, that's not even hardly South Florida. That's Central Florida. It's just called South Florida University, but he's in Tampa, doing his thing there. They're game planning. And Ryan Day is probably going to, take the reins to some extent. And I don't feel good about that because the last really good game that Ryan Day called was 2022 Georgia. And that's a long time ago.
2022 Georgia, though, you can't judge Ryan Day because he had Kevin Wilson.
That's true. I mean, he did have a top.
I know he's pointing to that game in 2021. He had a great offensive coordinator to help him. He doesn't have that now. He didn't have it in 2023 either.
And he didn't have it in 2019 or 2020. And the offenses were a little hit. Did he have it then? Who was there? Was Wilson there in 2019 and 2020?
I don't know. That's a good question. Let's get back to that. I'll look into that and go ahead with your point.
Well, you have brought this out, and I agree with it, is that when Ryan Day came in 2017, he wasn't even the offensive coordinator. He was the co-coordinator, quarterback coach. He wasn't brought in and given free reign. He was brought in and okay, we're going to take
Kevin Wilson was here in 2019.
Okay.
Yep. He was, I believe he was here for quite a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to take some of your passing concepts. We're going to try and integrate them into this Urban Meyer offense. So that's really what he was in 2017. Mm-hmm. Now, he ended up getting Urban's trust, and Urban kind of gave him, more and more of the reins. And then he handed it over to him in 2018. And we had a poor running game that year. If you remember, we struggled to run the ball that year. We threw it great, but we struggled to run the ball. And so that was him as an offensive coordinator. We don't have any other data as Ryan Day as an offensive coordinator other than that, because he never was. That's the sum total of his time as an offensive coordinator, was basically a year and kind of part of a year at Ohio State. And then the rest of it has been a head coach. And 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, he kind of was offensive coordinator. But he did have Kevin Wilson there with him. The 2 years that he has been by himself with no talented offensive mind, and yes, I am saying that about Brian Hartline. I don't think he's a talented offensive mind. He might be a good head coach. We'll see. But I don't think he's a talented offensive mind. And so the 2 years, 2023 and 2025, obviously 2024, he had Chip Kelly. The offense has been frustrating both of those years. The offense has been plodding and non-explosive much of the time, both of those years. The offense has felt like it can't ever get in a flow sometimes of when it should be running and when it should be setting things up. It just feels like it gets bogged down so easily. It feels like we make things so hard, for some reason. And I am going to blame Julian saying that he needs to say, screw it, forget it. But I'm also going to not totally, absolve Ryan Day that he coaches quarterbacks to never run. He tells them never to run. Why do you want to make football that hard? I mean, when Julian's saying,
Julian saying can't run though, Michael.
He can't, but guess what he can do? A couple of times in Indiana, he cannot sit there and look downfield for an extra second and a half. He can take that big gap that's in front of him, and he can go get 5 yards and still slide and stay protected. Why aren't we taking those yards? Why are the quarterbacks not coached to take those yards? You don't have to be a great runner to be able to do that. You just have to be willing. But he coaches them to not be willing. And that hurts the team throughout the year. And, you had a guy like Justin Fields. Instinctively, when he was in trouble, he was going to go. And so, that's a different story. But he still didn't want to use his legs. I mean, he wanted to limit his legs. And then when he should have been protecting his legs, he ran him, so it's like he couldn't get it right at all that year. And since Justin Fields got hurt, he has never wanted a quarterback to ever, hardly get outside of the pocket and do any kind of running since then. And CJ Stroud confirmed that. He confirmed that out of his own mouth. He said, sometimes even if you're capable of doing something, you have to try and do what the coach asks you to do.
It's a lot to unpack there, Michael. I was not prepared for this, but I'm glad you voiced that. Usually I'm the one that has to go off, but Michael, I will say this about what you just said. You are going to cause me an anxiety attack on New Year's Eve, because I don't know that I can watch the game at that point and enjoy myself. I am probably just going to be watching it in just pure agony because it's games of this magnitude, it's really hard to like enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Especially when you're making all these points that make, sense.
Mm.
And when people make too much sense about something that I love so much, and it's a detriment to like their success, it doesn't make me feel good. And yeah.
I'm with you. I thought this was a good comment. Tonight's show brought to us by Rage and Rage.
Yeah, I'm not even raging today, man. I'm just having a conversation. But
that aggravates me so bad about him. The way he, and I'm going to put it on Julian Sane too, because you have to be a football player and things are hard. Things are tough sledding. The defense is rolling some zone coverages that kind of has you off a little bit.
He's still got to be able to make plays, and he can't.
You have to be able to say, you know what? I'm going to take that 5 or 6 yards there. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to make it easier on the offense. And he didn't do it. And I get it that I highly believe he's coached not to, because we have a lot of evidence for that. But you still have to be a football player yourself and go and win the game when the lights get turned on.
Well, he had his chances against Indiana. I know I saw some open players. I feel like I had 2 things that I wanted to just recap. Number one, I know you were mentioning Texas before about like if they were to play in the conference championship game, they would have probably gotten in the playoffs anyway. Well, not with 3 losses. That was, kind of my point. If you were a team that was kind of on the outside looking in, and you're right, losing a conference championship game isn't going to hurt you. But since it's not going to hurt you, you're not already in the playoffs anyway, so you're still out of the playoffs. But it does give you a platform to elevate yourself into the playoffs. That was kind of my point. And if Texas would have made the conference championship game this year and won, they would have been in the playoffs. If they would have lost, they probably would not have made the playoffs. And then number 2, the point I wanted to make was it really bothers me that people try and speak for like Ryan Day and the players and say that, the conference championship game doesn't matter, when the team has said all year their goals every season are to, number 1, beat Michigan. Number 2, win the Big Ten. And then number 3, win the conference championship. So I don't care what fucking people say after the game, like, oh, that game really didn't matter, blah, blah, blah. I've heard some Ohio State beat writers. They're a bunch of stupid bitches, and you shouldn't listen to them. The game absolutely mattered. And at the end of the day, a win goes in a column and a loss goes in another column. The game mattered. I don't care what your feelings say. The game fucking mattered, okay? Until the game is abolished or canceled, I don't care. I don't care. It's trending that way. All we have is the here and now, and the game is in existence right fucking now. Now I'm starting to get pissed off because these stupid fucks just don't fucking understand. And when they're like, oh, we should just not play the game, and the game is just gonna get players hurt. And I'm like, they can get hurt in any fucking game. Any fucking game. So what are you saying? Are you saying that every game doesn't matter? Because if this game doesn't matter, then every game doesn't matter if players can get hurt, you stupid motherfucker.
So
what
Jay,
the fuck?
let's talk about that here for a minute. As soon as we get to this super chat, Bad Gateway with $10 super chat. Thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate that. I have no question. Just want to support the program, even though I live in Ann Arbor.
We love
All
you,
right.
sir.
Yes, appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Stay warm up there, man. Michael, is it snowing like fucking crazy?
My kids are off school again tomorrow. I'm all the way down in Cincinnati, and it's like 0 degrees and snow everywhere. So yeah, it's nuts up here.
Yeah, I was seeing some videos of people in Central Ohio. I've seen Northeast Ohio. Dude, it is fucking 21 degrees at my house right now.
Oh, I know.
It's freezing, man. What the fuck? Global cooling.
Yeah. So it is currently, Jay, 5 degrees here. But anyhow,
what does it feel like to go outside? What does it feel like to walk outside?
Oh, it's cold, man. I mean, I've got the jackets for it from when I lived up in Cleveland, but I mean, you don't put the right jackets on and it's really cold.
Man.
So Jay, oh boy.
What were you going to say?
Negative 17 this morning in Ann Arbor. That is really rough. I've experienced that up in Cleveland, Ohio. What I was going to say is this idea of load management, because one of our posters, or somebody in the chat, James W., he talked about how the offense can't get going because of he doesn't run enough plays with the huddling, the slowdown, and all of that. And so he's got this idea that he's got to play 60, 61 plays for load management purposes. All right. You know what? I was in a benevolent mood towards Ryan Day throughout much of the season. But
he's starting to really get after you right now, isn't he?
Yeah, but I'm not feeling that way anymore. I'm very concerned about Ryan Day and his ways.
And you've our community.
Yeah. And so, the reason is I don't necessarily so you're shaving off 8 to 10 plays a game. All right. And his theory is by the end of the season, by the time we get to the playoffs, we will have saved one full game of plays by doing this. So we're going to save one game of wear and tear by, managing this load throughout the thing. Okay, how about this? How about you look at the schedule that you played this year? That with the exception of Michigan, Texas, Washington, a few others, probably half the schedule, we'll say, that you needed to, there was a solid 5 games, even counting some Big Ten games this year, that if you go out, put the pedal to the metal, get the ball down the field, and do what you can on offense, you can set those players the entire fourth quarter. And you might save them a game and a quarter or a game and a half of wear and tear by putting the pedal to the metal and scoring as much as you can. Or at least, I'm not saying he has to have a crazy high-flying offense, but at least utilizing the weapons you have and letting it take place. And if you do that, you're going to be able to sit your guys several fourth quarters this year because we did not have a tough schedule, and you don't have to do this load management thing like we're playing in the NFL, and every team we play has a chance to beat us. They don't. About 8 teams that we play have almost no chance to beat us. And about 4 or 5 of those teams on a given year, if we play a good game, we could sit our guys the fourth quarter. I just think it's a more aggressive, a more winning formula of load management for college football. If you're playing competition, if Ohio State was playing 8 or 9 teams in the top 25 out of their 12 games, then Ryan Day's type of thing might be the better way to go. But on most years, when Ohio State has at least 4 games that they can blow the team out and sit their guys and rest them some, I think you can save a game doing it that way without doing all this, having to have 60 to 63 plays and slowing it down. And, it's become an obsession with him. And it's like he's always intent on being the smartest guy in the room with his little, philosophies and the little things he wants to fixate and focus on.
Well, what I'm most scared about, Michael, is he looked like a deer in the headlights against Indiana. And that's what I really, really get the most concerned about is the look came back. And I'm trying to think of it. What it's like that. Yeah. The look right there where he just looks utterly confused about what's going on. And I get really scared when I see that. And that was part of my anger from last week. And that's where I'm like, Michael, I actually think they were trying to win this game, which is even worse. Like if you could actually tell that the team wasn't trying to win, that's one thing. I would be like, okay, I can live with this. But if they're actually trying to win and like, this is the game plan, holy fucking shit, we're fucked now. And it doesn't give you much hope in the playoffs. I mean, the only hope you can maybe take is Indiana's better than anyone else in the playoffs, but I have a hard time believing that.
This is my best case scenario, Jay. Do I think we're going to see a Chip Kelly type of, offensive creativity that gets unleashed in the playoffs? No. Absolutely not. I am just hoping they take a honest look at their red zone approach and go, we cannot put 3 or 4 mid tight ends out on the field. That's what Ohio State gets, Jay. We get mid tight ends. That's what we always get. And so this is another thing that has driven me nuts this year. Ohio State doesn't get stud tight ends for the most part.
No,
we get mid tight ends. We get tight ends that can block a little bit and catch a pass like if they absolutely need to. And we're putting 3 of those guys on the field, 4 sometimes, especially down in the red zone when you've got, 2 of the better, maybe the 2 best wide receivers in college football, 2 of the top 5 anyhow. And you're going to, put all of these tight ends out on the field. We don't have great tight ends. Even Max Clare is not a great tight end. He's a pretty solid receiving tight end. That's about it. Kasmerick has solid hands and he's not fast at all and he's a good blocker. Our tight ends are not guys that you want to feature and have all over the field.
Michael, I feel like you're now coming to the realization where, how you were like telling me to cheer up all season long and it's going to be okay. I feel like you're now starting to see why I was so upset with the game plan and the personnel usage all season long. And people are like, cheer up, Rage. It's going to be okay. And now you see what I've seen, man. I'm telling you, I was not a fan of this style all fucking season. I was not a fan of the formations, the pace, the personnel, any of it. I didn't like any of it. I hated our game plan against Washington. I hated it against Texas. I hated it against Illinois. Our offense struggled big time with some really, really bad defenses. Now, Michael, a little bit of good news happened last night. I don't know. I mean, I was texting you about this, but speaking of Washington, the University of Washington Huskies, by the way, if you must know, beat Boise State on a neutral field worse than Notre Dame did on their home field.
Yeah.
That is not something to just scoff at, man. That actually meant something. And Washington had that game won at halftime and kind of coasted.
Yeah.
Whereas Notre Dame kind of had to put Boise away late in the third quarter. Yeah, so it kind of shows me that the committee got it right. And, the Big Ten is stronger maybe than we think. I think the Big Ten was definitely really good at the top. Everything outside of that, not so much. But Washington was kind of one of those mid teams. And one of our mid teams just destroyed the Mountain West Conference champion.
Yeah.
And a team that Notre Dame, they beat decisively, but not nearly as impressive as Washington beat them. So
yeah, that was
a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Very nice win for Washington. And I would have thought, I don't know. I mean, not that Boise State, obviously they played in the playoffs last year. So this was a step back for them too. But I don't know. I would have thought that Washington, might have gone out there like we just got done with the regular season and like we're basically going out to play a bowl the next week or 2 weeks later.
Yeah, they only had 2 weeks off.
Yeah, I thought that they might have been really but they showed up and clearly were just the better team.
Yeah, speaking of which, Michael, so moving on, we obviously have some first round games next week. It will be here in 5 days. 5 days we are going to be. First game is Alabama at Oklahoma, 8:00 kickoff East Coast time. One thing that really bothers me, Michael, is they could have avoided the whole rematch thing. Like, why not put Texas A&M at like the 6th seed and then have them play Tulane to avoid the Ole Miss Tulane rematch, and then also avoid the Georgia Ole Miss rematch? Not to mention the fact, Michael, that it would prevent Texas A&M from possibly having home field advantage against Ohio State, who is, by the way, the higher seeded team. Last season, I understood Ohio State playing on the road in their games, but not this season, Michael, not this season, not as the 2 seed. And again, I will continue to beat this drum that Midwest needs a bigger presence for venues for the college football playoff. It is just not fucking fair. It is not fair. We need a presence in the Midwest. And I don't care. And I was actually like going back and forth with like fucking AI about this, trying to figure out why there's just no presence in the Midwest. And really their biggest argument is like the fucking weather. Like, fuck you and the fucking weather, you stupid pricks. You're going there for a football game. You're not going there to go on vacation. So save up your money and go to Florida another time, you bastards. Like, fuck all of you stupid pussies, man. It pisses me off.
Like we've said, though, the NFL has played the biggest event in the country, in cold weather multiple times. In New York, one time outside Another time in Minneapolis, it was inside, so everybody was comfy and cozy for the game. However, I think it was like 10 degrees or, something ridiculously cold, while it was taking place. And guess what? It was still full. But the biggest problem that we have now is this bowl system, because the second and the third round of the playoffs are pretty much locked into these old bowls from, these New Year's Six bowls.
They need to get rid of that.
Yeah.
They need to just move it to. I think the Rose Bowl should stay, and maybe like they can keep the original bowls, Michael, but they can keep them, spread them out some. Like they shouldn't all be represented in the second round. Like maybe spread them between the national championship, the semifinals, and the quarterfinals with a Midwest site sprinkled in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean I agree. And there needs to be some Midwest national, because there's no limitation on the national championship game. So there needs to be a national championship in Indianapolis, needs to be a national championship in Detroit. There needs to be a national championship in Cleveland when it gets its dome. I don't know if Chicago's ever going to get a dome. It might, if it could, there could be a national championship potentially there. But right now, certainly, Detroit, Indianapolis, and even Minneapolis could all be hosting places for national championship games in the future.
Yeah, as long as Minneapolis doesn't have their ceiling collapse with snow like it did, because I actually saw that on social media today at the anniversary of like their dome collapsing from the snow. I don't think that can happen now with their new infrastructure, but fuck, man, it was only 2010 that happened. That was Can you imagine if that was like a game and that happened? Like somebody could have died.
Yeah, it was wild.
Fuck, man, that is scary as shit, man. Any predictions? Like, I mean, like, what are your thoughts? Like, looking at these games, who do you think's gonna win, man? Just rapid fire.
Which one first?
Well, I guess we'll start on Friday night. We will start with Alabama and Oklahoma.
I'm going to go, let me write these down actually so that I can hold myself accountable on it.
I think I'll keep them as a mental note. It's all in here.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, so Bama.
Man, my skin is so fucking dry, man. I had to like put all this moisturizer on, man. It is rough out here with this fucking cold weather, man.
I'm Bama 23-16 over Oklahoma.
Okay. Fuck, dude. I'm gonna choose Oklahoma in another close one. I'll pick them 21-17. I understand that Alabama is. I know Alabama's a better team. They have revenge on their side, but Oklahoma at night, that is going to be really tough. And Alabama is going to be healthier, but they're still not going to be healthy. Like they've only had 2 weeks off since the SEC, they got demolished there. So I don't know. Ole Miss, Tulane. I think I know where you're going to go with that.
Ole Miss, Tulane. Yep. I am going to go Ole Miss on that. And I'm going Ole Miss.
Rematch, by the way.
Yeah. And I'm going Ole Miss 31-21.
I'll go Ole Miss 38-17.
Okay.
Oregon and James Madison.
Yep.
I know. It was a college football first round game, by the way.
Yep. On that one, I'm going to go Oregon 38, James Madison 10.
I'll go Oregon 45-10. Yeah.
Okay.
They're going to destroy them. Lastly is probably the game of the weekend, which, by the way, is at noon. You would think like Oregon and James Madison. Well, Oregon's a West Coast team, but maybe Oregon could be, maybe Ole Miss and Tulane could be like the noon game. James Madison, Oregon would be like the 3:30 or 4 o'clock game, and then then Miami and Texas A&M could be the night game. But that's not what happened. We have Miami at Texas A&M in College Station. Michael, what do you got?
Okay.
They have one common opponent, by the way. Do you know who that is?
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, that's right. And they basically played them to about the same.
I am going to go Miami 28-21.
Kind of high scoring.
Well, I think that there'll be some points in that game.
Okay. I'll go Miami 21-17. I mean, like, I want Miami to win. I actually think Miami is the better team, but do you really want to play Texas A&M in Dallas as a home game for them?
No, I don't want to.
I don't either. Yeah, I don't either, man. But that's what we're staring right in the face, man.
Well, let's for like 2 minutes, let's weigh in on this real quick. Hi all. I heard Kalen DeBoer said he's not interested in talking to anybody about other jobs. We'll see about that. I hope. I don't want him at Michigan. Who do you think?
Wrong.
Yeah, what do you think?
I think Kalen DeBoer is their best option, man. I like it or not, Kalen DeBoer is your best option, because if you're not getting him, who are you going to get? Kenny Dillingham out of Arizona State, I said that would not be a good hire. It would be a very mid hire. Elia Drinkowitz's name is being thrown out there. That's not a very good hire. Yeah, Kenny Dillingham, no. Hell no. No. Young guy. He's only 35 years old. He's a West Coast guy. He's not a Michigan guy. You know, Michigan, it's all about hiring Michigan men. Kenny Dillingham is the farthest thing from a Michigan man. Fuck no. Hell no. That would just not be a fit. I'm not saying that Kalen DeBoer is a Michigan man. He's not historically, but the thing is, he has success at the highest level. I mean, he did guide Washington to a national championship game. I like his style of offense.
Beat essentially a very good SEC team in Texas that year. They were not in the SEC yet,
right?
But essentially beat a very good SEC team that year. You know, and then ran into Michigan and were not able to handle them. But yeah, so
I mean, who do you think is their best choice, Michael? Is it? Have you thought about it at all?
You know, the Vanderbilt guy is compelling. DeBoer is compelling. Dillingham, I don't think it's going to matter. It sounds like he's going to re-sign with Arizona State. Which is kind of surprising that he would not, be looking for, potentially at least listening to what, Michigan may have to say if they were interested in him. Outside of that, I don't know really who it would be. Those three guys. I mean, DeBoer,
I honestly think it's DeBoer or bust, because Clark Lee at Vanderbilt, I know you just threw that name out there. The only time he's had success is with Diego Pavia. Outside of that, he's actually been pretty below average. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, we'll keep an eye on it. Will be very interesting to see who they get. I think there's a chance they could get a better football coach than Sharon Moore. It's hard for me to believe that Sharon Moore was much of a football coach at all for much of the season. If these reports are true that he was messaging OnlyFans content creators during the halftime of the Ohio State game.
Man, that guy has got some serious, he just needs to go just jack off or something like before or something, man. Get his mind off of it. Like, God dang, bro.
If you are the head coach of the University of Michigan and during the Ohio State game, you're taking time at halftime to message OnlyFans content creators, you're like gone. I mean, you're gone.
Well, hold on. I don't think he's gone, because if you're winning, you can do whatever you want. Let's make that clear.
I mean, like mentally,
mentally, I see what you mean. I thought you meant like you need to be fired. Okay, yeah.
Like if you can't focus, if your job is to coach the University of Michigan and you can't focus while you're playing Ohio State, you're like, you're gone. You're out somewhere. You're checked out. Like whatever it is, his issues, his problems, his demons had overcome him at that point. Like he was gone.
Southwest Line is saying he feels for his family, but the more I've thought about it, I feel for his kids. I don't know that I feel for his wife because I'm about 98% sure she understood what he was doing.
Possibly. Yeah. I don't know.
I think she very much knows, but she was married to a Michigan coach and a nice house and like outside of Ann Arbor, Michigan. And they posted like that development. I think I looked in, man.
I mean, a lot of women do. I mean, Tom Herman's wife was well aware of what he was doing at Ohio State. He was a serial cheater, but he at least cheated like outside the Woody.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay as long as you're just doing it outside of here. Just don't fuck our women. Just fuck fuck the other women.
You're right.
Oh man, bro. Well, I don't have anything else, man.
I don't either.
I know we got some big games next weekend, but I mean, we have 2 big games next weekend to look forward to. The other 2 just plain suck.
Yeah. Well, I'll be looking forward to at least seeing them again. Seeing some football again. It was kind of weird this week. So we'll be back when, Jay? When are we coming back? Sunday? Next Sunday?
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, man. But there's not a lot to talk about. It's something like, emergency happens, like kind of like Michigan did, like we can pivot. But I would say we'll do 7 days from now. Bad Gateway said something, everyone's ripping on Ward Manuel, but Michael, I just want to make it clear. Yeah, Ward Manuel, he probably knew a lot of this is going on. He didn't handle this correctly. But one thing Ward Manuel does handle correctly, Michael, for the most part, is the hiring of coaches. Like just across the spectrum. Like Ohio State is stuck with Jake bitch-ass Diebler while they have Dusty May. Their hockey program, I believe, is #1 in the country. Their baseball team is still respected. The Michigan athletic department runs circles around Ohio State, man.
Yeah, I mean, collectively, his hires have been much better than Ohio State's hires. Football-wise, obviously that was a bit of a fumble with Jerome Moore.
Well, I think that was, I said it because they really couldn't get anyone with the whole Connor Stallions thing. And now that Connor Stallions is gone and they've been, they didn't get penalized, whether they did it or not is irrelevant. They didn't get the penalties. And I know a lot of people are saying like, oh, they still cheated. Well, you know what? Okay, they cheated, but you know what? The results still happened. And I don't know what else to say, man. I don't know what else to say. They got penalized. They got penalized, and that's it. It's time to move on. And now Michigan can actually go get somebody to their liking, and not Sharon Moore, who is kind of the fall guy.
Yep. So it's really a good spot at Michigan. Kalen, let me say this: I whether Michigan fans want Kalen DeBoer or not, I don't really know exactly what the feeling is there. But Kalen DeBoer himself would be nuts, in my opinion. This is my opinion, not to go to the University of Michigan and leave Ann Arbor. You followed Nick Saban. That's never going to end well. The guy that follows a legend is never liked. You get to get out of there. You've been paid really well the last 2 years, and you get to go to a program with a lot of resources, and you're following a guy that did what Sharon Moore did. So you have a great opportunity to be, somebody who's liked, somebody who's celebrated, not somebody who's always complained about. Kalen DeBoer's nuts if he doesn't look at the Michigan job, if they truly are interested in him.
I agree. And I think we're going to know, if Oklahoma does beat Alabama, we're going to know pretty quick. So, man, I don't have anything else, though.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you guys for watching. We will see you later.